Hey everyone, in this video we're gonna learn how to use React testing library and use it in your Create React app project. So let's get started. This is my terminal. I've already initialized a project called was it demo testing. So for this you just need to type npx space Create React app and then your project name, which in this case is demo testing. After that, just press enter and your project will initialize. It'll take a couple of minutes depending on your operating system, also on your system, hardware, and stuff. Anyway, so I'm gonna go inside this directory, demo testing, open this in VS Code. Okay, so because this is Create React app, not Next.js, because you need to install testing library in Next.js project, but Create React app comes with built-in testing library installed. So you can see in the package.json you have testing library just DOM, you package testing library React, testing library user event. We'll need all these three packages for our testing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is organize my folder a little bit. So I'm gonna create a folder called components, another folder called underscore test where my tests will be. Another folder is called context because I'm gonna make a context provider. Now there's a flow called TDD or test driven development where you write the test first and then you make those tests fail, which is the red part of red green test. So after your test fail, then you follow that test as a blueprint and you write your component, okay? But that doesn't mean you don't write your component at all. So you first just write the skeleton component, which maybe returns a div in the JSX. So component just, because this project is called demo testing, let's name this as demo.jsx like this. Then just import React from React and then just export default demo, just return a simple div like this. Okay. So after this, let's write our first test. So it's going to be demo.test.jsx like this. First, we're gonna import the render screen from testing library React. Then we're gonna import user event from testing library user event. We're gonna need the component, right? So import demo from underscore components demo like that. Now I'm not going to use describe block over here because this is just going to be one test. So just going to write test. I'm going to write testing the demo component like this. Okay, so first we need to render the demo component like this. Now we need to fix this test file after I'm done with the component and context because this component is going to be wrapped in a provider, right? So we need to pass another option like this. We need to write what the provider is, but for now we just can keep it like this. Okay, now what usually happens is we always have a mockup, then seeing that mockup we write our test, and after the test fails then we start to write our component. But in this case there is no mockup, so let's write some comments to guide us in writing this test. So let's write one comment. So in summary, the flow will be like this. Our context will have an object, which is our central data, and that object will have two properties, name and profession. And our component will pull that data from context and display it. So first, we are gonna test whether it really displays the correct initial data. And after we maybe click a button, so after clicking a button, our context data will be updated. Then we'll just test whether our component's data is correctly updated or not. That's it. So we're going to call this name as name element and this profession as profession element, right? So let's write that find name element name element, profession element, and assert that they exist and have the correct initial value. Okay. Next, we will find the let's use double quote here, button element, assert that it exists and click it. Then assert that name element and profession element have the correct updated data. Pretty simple comments. We can now follow them to write our test file. So let's find our name element. So we're gonna search the screen. Now, normally what React testing library tells you is that you should always use get by role here, but we can use anything we want. It really depends on the case. So I'm gonna use get by test ID. There we go. It's gonna be name element. Then let's find the profession element. Oops. Get by test ID, profession element. Then we expect, let's assert that both of them exist to be in the document. Expect profession to be in the document. Then we need to assert that they have the correct initial value. Okay. So I'm gonna expect that name element to have text content, which is going to be gigabyte. I'm going to expect the profession element to have text content, let's say laptop. Okay, this part is done. And then we need to find the button element. So let's find the button element. It's going to be a button, so we can easily find it by get by role, and the role gonna be button, and the label is gonna be a regular expression. Click to, oh, I don't really need to capitalize it. Click to update. I'm gonna expect that my button really exists. So here we are, to be in the document. Then I'm gonna use a user event to click this button element like this. I already clicked this, right? So now I'm gonna assert that my name element and profession element will have the correct updated data. So my name, expect name element to have text content. I'm going to change gigabyte to, let's say, MSI. Then I'm going to expect profession element text content as gaming laptop. Now notice that these are hardly coded strings, so you have to be exactly, the match should be exact, not in regular expression. So this is our test file. Now, one thing I really want to do is really write my context first, but I'm going to do it later. So we have written the test file over here. So now I'm going to do is just run the test. Now I just want to run this demo test file. I don't want to run the app.test.jsx.js. Test.jsx. It should fail. Okay, it's failing on line 8. So line 8, yeah, so it cannot find any element by test ID name element, so it's totally fine. I'm gonna just clear the screen. I'm gonna make a quick commit that demo.test.jsx is done before component is written. Here. Now I'm gonna write my context. So I'm gonna name it demo context.jsx. So I'm gonna need React. I need a couple of things like create context. I'm gonna need use state. I'm gonna need use context from React. So then I'm gonna create my demo context. It's simple, create context. Then I'm gonna create a custom hook. So what this custom hook does is it checks whether your component is wrapped under a provider. If it doesn't, it'll throw an error. If it really is wrapped under a provider, then it will just return the context. You can destructure the data from the context. Export const. You can call this use demo because the convention of writing a custom hook is you have to start it by use. It's not gonna take any argument. So I'm gonna say context. I'll use my use context hook over here. I'm gonna put the demo context. Now, if the context is falsy, then I'll just show an error that a component must be wrapped in a provider. Y'all. Okay. So if the context is not falsy, so I'm just gonna return the context like this. Oh, suddenly I noticed that I don't have that settings.json file. So just gonna quickly I'm gonna see editor. Oh, editor dot default formatter is prettier. Just gonna say editor dot format on save is true. So then if see, nice formats. Okay, then I need to export the provider. It's gonna be default export function. Then I'm gonna say demo provider. I'm gonna pass all the props. Then I'm gonna use set state. I'm gonna use state. Gonna put a default state. I haven't coded the default state yet, so nothing to worry. Now our default state will have two properties. One is, remember our initial name was what? Gigabyte, and the profession was laptop. So we have to code it like this. So gigabyte, and then profession is going to be laptop, like this. Simply, I'm going to just return the provider of this context. So it's going to be demo context dot provider. Then I'm just gonna pass all the props. Simply also need to specify which value my context will return. So I'm just gonna pass the state and set state as an object so that we can destructure on the component level. So my context is ready. So let's commit. Then I'm gonna say demo context is ready to go. Okay, in this case, remember that our test file needs to be updated. So let's import our demo provider from context, demo context like this, and then just wrapper demo provider like this. Also gonna commit again. It's very good to commit now and then just to keep track of your progress. So I'm gonna say wrapper is provided in options in render. Cool. Context is done, demo test is done. Now I'm going to keep the demo test file open on the right side because I'm going to use it as a blueprint while I write my component. My component is demo.jsx. Really cool. Okay, I don't need use state. I need use demo from. Oh, sorry. Remember that demo. Wait, let me show the context again. Demo context. See that use demo is not a default export. So you need to put parentheses, curly braces around it. So use demo context, demo context. Yeah, like that. Now let's destructure it. State and set state. I'm gonna use demo like this. Then on the right side, see that we will have like an element called name element. It's going to have a test ID. So when you search something by test ID, you have to give it a attribute called data hyphen data dash test ID. So it's gonna be a p tag. Oh, sorry. That'll be p tag. So let's give it a data test ID called name element like this, and it's gonna have the value state.name. Next, simple as before, profession. I'm gonna have data test ID. It's gonna have profession element. Simple. Okay, so our first part is done. This part. Now we need to have a button element. So this is gonna be a button, and the label is gonna be click to update this. We don't have to worry about casing here, uppercase, lowercase, because we have used a regular expression, and the I flag means it really doesn't care about the casing. Then we need to click it, and when we click it, we just want to update our name, and the name will be MSI, and the profession will be gaming laptop, like that. So if the context data is correctly updated, so our data here and here will be updated as well. So that's the purpose of our testing. Okay, so but like if you really want to use it in your real application, like in app.js or whatever, you really need to wrap your app.js into a provider. But normally what I do is to wrap my index.jsx, this one, so that all the components really have access to this provider. So I'm gonna just import this. Remember, it's a default export, so I don't really have to put the curly braces around it. Context, demo context, provider, like this, like that. Oops. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, all seems to be okay. Now let's run our test. npm test demo.test.jsx. Finger crossed. And test is passing. Okay, so let's we have two test file over here, like app.test.js, so we can test both of them, just like A. Yep, both passing. Cool. So I'm just gonna write a commit that demo.jsx passed its unit test. Right. Let's check all our logs. Okay. It's very good to see. When you push this into GitHub, you can see what changes you made under every commit. Okay, everyone. So this will be it. So see you in the next video.